PS2, courtesy of the Neo Geo SNK Arcade Classics Volume 1. This is actually a game I played yesterday. I didn't record. I was playing on the normal difficulty level, and basically it was a game I knew I didn't like very much. I played quite a bit of this in the arcade, actually. It's actually one of the few Neo Geo games I actually played back when the kiosk was around, back in the mid 1990s. Because they had a Street Fighter 2 machine right next to it. They had a Neo Geo machine, so I used to play a lot of Ninja Combat. I played a tiny bit of this, like maybe an hour of it. I wasn't that impressed with it. Maybe it was probably more like half an hour based on the quarters I put into it. It's kind of a bare bones brawler, but it has an interesting character switching mechanic, like Castlevania 3, Valis 3, Agents of Mayhem back in the modern era, where you can just switch characters on a dime. Once you find that character, you can switch to that character, and they have different move sets and somewhat different properties as far as their ability to do jump attacks, vulnerabilities, different weapons they can carry. Because some characters are more vulnerable to certain enemy types and weapon types than others. So you'll get to see a bit of that in this video. I might do a full playthrough of this, I don't know. If I can get my hands on Sengoku 3, which is currently on GOG, I'll give you a video of that. That game is like $1,000. That cartridge is $1,000. It never got released officially here in the States. But apparently GOG got their hands on a... They got their hands on a ROM or something from SNK, so they're releasing it that way. Okay, just to go over this for a second. It's a 3-button game. Jump, attack, and the triangle button is for changing. Again, once I get a new form, I'll be able to switch between forms by pressing that change button. There's a wolf, there's a samurai, there's a ninja, so... But for now, we're playing Japanese Michael Jackson. Let's see... This is one of the goals I wanted. Use the dog form's yellow orb attack. It unlocks Andy Bogart's move list. I'll be able to play Fatal Fury later. I actually know most of his moves, and I could go online and download them. I'll get around to that. If I know most of Andy's moves, it's fine. These all 4 forms in a single game. Well, I already unlocked the King of Monsters art. Yay. Maybe it's just me. I don't think that art is an achievement. Music I like. I like the idea that music's easy to get. Art I can take or leave, because I'm probably gonna see the art once, maybe twice, and then never look at it again. But the music, might be worth listening to later. Big Game on Easy for a King move list. Well, King's supposed to be pretty awesome, so I'll probably just go online and get that. Anyway, basics. See? Japanese Michael Jackson. Come on. The controls are kind of mushy here. Your character's kind of slow. So the combat here isn't really as fluid as something like Final Fight or Streets of Rage, and that's kind of disappointing. This is really sluggish, I should mention. But you do pick up orbs, and these orbs contain weapons, depending on the form you have. So if you switch to a different form, that orb will be something completely different attack. Like, if I were a wolf, this orb would unlock a different attack than these swords, because wolves don't carry swords in this game. But I'll show you a bit of that later. You can't really choose... you can choose what weapon you want. These orbs go away after a while. Don't stick around. Don't stay still, because eventually the game will unlock some... the game will release some spiked barrels. They'll roll you over, which is how the game prevents you from going to the bathroom when you're at the arcade. So it's a coin op. You have to keep people moving. You got to keep the show moving so you can keep those quarters pumping. So that's how they do it. I got a wave attack. So eventually I'll be able to get the wolf skill, or the wolf form. I'll show you that in a second. My Okami form, I think it's called. At least that's what I'm calling it. I don't know how many of these attacks I have, because I keep getting them. But they always seem to be limited. Oh, I just died again. Like I said, I didn't pick up the red orb. Gosh darn it. And like I said, like I think I complained about this in Burning Fight. It feels like you're fighting, paper. Well, there's my yellow orb, but I'm not a wolf, so what difference does it make? Ah, see, I missed it. So I don't mind them having like 2 buttons, one for jumping and one attacking. You know, it's just like Final Fight. But again, it's a very limited move set. I mean, you can jump, and you can attack, you can jump attack, and that's pretty much it. Like, there's no dashing, there's no rolling, there's no dodge rolling, there's no blocking. It's basically just attacking and switching forms. So really the only depth this game seems to have is the forms you choose, or maybe the weapons you decide to use. I don't know. Whoops, see, he dropped a purple orb. I didn't get a chance to get it. The one thing I do kind of like about this game is the some of the thematic elements, like I said, the samurais you see here, him constantly going between heaven and hell. I kind of constantly going between the earth layer and the heaven layer. You're fighting in the clouds, you're fighting in the city. I kind of like that. And like I said, I do like these samurai. I do like these samurai enemies we constantly fight. I do kind of like that. And the music's kind of interesting too. It seems to fit the theme. Where this is like, yeah, past meets present in Japan, and whatever the Sengoku thing is about, well, it's a big deal. And then they lean really heavily into the Eastern mysticism, which I kind of like, at least as far as the designs go. So I do like that mixture. I'm trying to think of what would be the Western equivalent of this, and I guess it might be something like knights and a king, like a knight in King Arthur's court. What was that Mark Twain? What was that Mark Twain book? Like a Southerner in King Arthur's court. I don't remember what it's called. An American in King Arthur's court. That might be the same deal here. But let me switch. Press triangle to switch. Oh, you can switch between different. We have more than a couple of forms available. Okay, he has a jumping attack. Whoops. Yeah, those things will run you over, so don't stick around. This wolf is very vulnerable to these sword attacks. I'm going to have to switch to somebody else, and I die, so it doesn't make a difference. Okay, so this wolf does not do very well against sword attacks, but this Kabuki fighter, is he a Kabuki fighter? He can actually block some of these sword attacks, so he's somewhat more useful. See, I can kind of keep him at distance. Switch. Grab that, grab that. Got it. Did I grab it? I grabbed it, right? Where's my yelp? Okay, I thought I got my wolf attack off. I guess I didn't. And it's kind of hard to switch when people are attacking you, so that's kind of annoying. I kind of wish the game would just pause. That's okay. Whatever. I'll treat it accordingly. Don't get blown up. This wolf has a pretty weak, paw attack, a paw swipe. But his jumping attack is really awesome. This little jumping buzzsaw attack he's got. Really useful. Give me that. So now we can shoot that. So I thought I got the yellow orb a second ago and it didn't work. Oh, they're blocking me. They're blocking me. They're blocking my waves. Okay, I'll use my jump attack. Like I said, there's a bit of depth to this when you switch characters because you can press the attack button. You can do a neutral jump, then move a little bit forward or backward. So you got a bit more air control on that jump, which you're going to need if you're using the wolf. You have to switch. You probably saw the countdown meter underneath my life bar on the top left-hand corner of the screen. The forms, there is a cooldown on these forms, see? So you don't want to stick with it. You don't want to stick in an alternate form for too long. Okay, don't interrupt me. See, those things are going to keep coming. Okay, hold on. We got a problem. Like I said, see, I kind of like the enemy designs here. I mean, I wish the game were better, but I kind of like some of the character designs they got going on here. Reasonably well drawn. Not well animated, but reasonably well drawn. Well designed. So I dig that. Well, in case you're wondering, yeah, this isn't the Sengoku game that's on Steam. No, it's not. There's another game on Steam called Sengoku, which I believe is a turn-based strategy game. I'll check it out, but it has nothing to do with this. It just has a similar title. I mean, the word Sengoku is probably is more meaningful, obviously, in Japanese. I just don't know what it means. But I just think it's interesting that when I saw Sengoku appear on Steam, I thought, wait a minute, they have Neo Geo games on here? Well, they do, but this is not one of them. In fact, I don't even think this game is available on GOG or Steam. It's probably confusing enough as is, because the Sengoku game that is on Steam has nothing to do with this. In fact, when I saw who made it in the year of its release, it led me to believe that, yeah, it's probably just another game with the same name. And I guess SNK wasn't being protective enough of their naming rights. But like I said, Sengoku 2 isn't even out. I haven't seen Sengoku. I don't think I've seen Sengoku 2 at all anywhere. I should probably switch. There we go. See, I'm gonna get attacked when I'm switching forms. So I need to. So basically, the only time the only time when it's safe for me to change forms is when people stop attacking me, or if I'm really quick. Like as soon as an enemy mob is defeated, then I can switch. Because any other time I switch, they're gonna attack me when I'm trying to select a form. That's annoying. Switch. Kabuki form. See, I think he got a hit on me there. My sword allows me to keep him at range. Let me switch. Yeah, so you see how much time I have left for these alternate forms here. Okay, here's the sword guy, so I'm probably going to have to switch to the Kabuki form. See, again, I probably should have switched when the sprite was scaling out of the background. There we go. Okay, so the sword guy might be able to hold him off, because we can block his sword swings a little bit. He has a bit of range, and we can block his sword swings a little bit. And here's the ninja, so we can switch to him, see how he does. He doesn't walk, he does he does round-offs. See? Look here, see? Ninja combat. So these are all 4 of the forms. I should mention, this game actually I want to say this game was covered by Nintendo Power very briefly. It got a tiny write-up. Because apparently, I think it actually was released in America. I don't know if it ever was. Because Nintendo Power sort of infamously did coverage of games that were never released in the United States. I think that, what was it? Undercover Cops was one of those games where it got coverage in Nintendo Powers if it was going to be released. And then the publisher backed out and just decided not to release it. Which kind of sucks because it'd be maybe it got released in Europe, I don't know, or Japan. But the American version of Undercover Cops never came out in North America. Even though the picture is right there in Nintendo Power. They rated it and everything. They even said it had good graphics. Oh, I ran out of time. Okay, so I was a ninja for too long. But I remember that shot in the Nintendo Power magazine where that ninja was sitting on top of these horses, fighting this boss. It looked kind of small, though. They might have reduced the sprite size. Which wouldn't shock me at all, because it's a 16-bit game. But Takara published a lot of ports of Neo Geo games, like Fatal Fury 2, definitely. I think they did Fatal Fury 1 as well. I know I definitely played Fatal Fury 2 and Fatal Fury Special on the Super NES. And they obviously got Samurai Showdown up in there. They didn't do any of the sequels, I want to say. They did not do any of the sequels on the Super NES. But yeah, if you just look up Takara, Takara, they did a bunch of Super NES ports. Some were rather large, obviously, like Fatal Fury Special, I think was at least 16 megs, a 16 megabit cartridge, which was typical for Street Fighter 2 clones. Actually, I think Fatal Fury 2 might have been 16 megs, and Fatal Fury 2 Special might have been 24. I'll double check. Which, of course, means the game cost at least $70, because, memory was expensive. ROM chips were expensive back then. So any game that had more than 8 megabits was really expensive on the Super NES. I think when it started, you had games, launch titles had 4 megs on them. Had 4 megabit chips. Super Turrican, famously, had a publisher, Sega, I think we have Sega, famously decided not to go with the larger, more expensive chip. So they just said, okay, we're going to make this game fit on a 4 megabit chip, and then we'll release the game. So Factor 5 was kind of backed against the wall a little bit. So they had to cut a couple of stages, I think. But if you have one of the, the analog SG things, the analog NT for that Super NES, it's not a clone system. It's an FPGA Super NES console. It's hardware. It's basically a hardware emulation, if you will. Finally died. Okay, can't change. Well, I mean, I can change, but let me switch to the Kabuki guy, because these guys have swords, and these guys are annoying. And he killed me. Again, switching characters is really annoying in this game, because enemies will attack you when you're trying to switch. And it's hard to get to a place where you can find a safe spot and run away just so you can change. If you stick around for too long, eventually the spiked barrels start rolling over you. And that takes off a hit. So changing can be kind of... And then you have to change back because they're going to run out of time. So let me switch back. So I'm going to switch in a hurry right here. And I got killed because it's very dangerous to switch in this game. Taking your finger off the button and choosing a different one isn't the problem. It's just that while the game doesn't stop while you're changing. So I haven't quite figured out how to make that work. Because I died a lot of times in my first playthrough just trying to survive. He's giving me a hand. I guess he healed me. He wasn't pointing that thing at me. He pointed it towards the center of the screen. So whatever. Okay, we got a problem. Let me get these a kabuki. Not the wolf. Not the wolf. Him. Okay. Let's get the Buki guy ready. They're blocking my waves. Okay, we got a problem. We get closer. I probably should have switched to somebody else. But I lost my power-up, so I don't know what to do here. Okay. Kabuki guy. Get to the other side. See, I think it's interesting that the sword, that the weapon the enemy's carrying, determines whether or not you can make contact. But this is a normal difficulty level, and the enemies, like I said, it's trying to make sense of this game and why certain weapons don't work. Because, like I said, the moveset's very limited, and you can't really switch characters quickly, so that makes things problematic because it means you're vulnerable if you just try to select a character. Here's the Kabuki. Now I need the Kabuki guy again because the sword wielder is going to take off 3 of my lives at least. So we're going to try and parry him. But I don't know how to parry in this. I think you just mash on the button and hope you get a sword swing through. Yeah, I think I got him. So maybe that was the trick. So I got that. Wolf form. Okay, those flaming barrels are coming, aren't they? You guys got wolf buzzsaws. Okami buzzsaws. Anyone else? Okay, he's gonna block this, isn't he? Actually, he's probably gonna kill me. Did I beat him? I think I beat him. Yeah, I lost my wolf paw buzzsaw. Yeah, I like how those enemies started hovering around me as they fell. That was kind of interesting. Because even I was moving around, they were hovering around me. Okay, these guys are fast, but the wolf might be able to do his jumping buzzsaw attack on him. Kind of keep him at bay. Yeah, that works. Okay, I have to switch. Yeah, he's getting tired. But again, so the best time for me to switch is apparently after I destroy a mob, because otherwise enemies start attacking me, or barrels start rolling over me, so I have to change really quickly. Okay, what the heck is going on with that guy? That guy has a sword and he's not letting me up. Okay, I got him. So what red weapon do I have? That. Switch to the ninja. I don't have the ninja anymore? Look out. See? So stupid. Those barrels are way too fast. So I rarely even get a chance to switch characters now because I have to hope that, I don't get interrupted. Ah! Stabbed me. Again, the hit detection is kind of hard to figure out here. Ah! Got behind me. And I wish I could be more excited about this game, but the hit detection just makes things too janky. So it's kind of a guessing game. That's really bad sprite scaling there. It's like they were coming out of the gray background instead of the black background behind them, so it was weird. Again, this is I want to say this was a launch title in the Neo Geo, so you can see all the jankiness. That crap. Okay, I just had to jump over him. So who do I switch to? The ninja's not around anymore. What happened to him? I figured it would have been more of them. Oop, turtle power. Where are these guys' kappas? Okay, let's switch. Switch. There we go. How much? I can barely read how much time I have left. I think it says 50. Tonight I dine on turtle soup. Well, guess I don't get to collect the orbs. Normal guy. Okay, white ninjas. Bunch of storm shadows up in here. Yeah, again, I'm not even going to pretend this was a great arcade game. I mean, I remember seeing it, the first time I saw this arcade game was it was actually one of the top 10 arcade games of the month that came out, I want to say. Like I said, like a bunch of Neo Geo games, the reason I knew they existed is because they had listings in the coin-op top 10. So I guess they were selling well enough, they were generating enough revenue to appear in those top 10 lists, but I don't know how long they were there. I don't know how popular they were in terms of, how much money they made. All I know is that they made sequels. I don't even know if they released Sengoku 2 and 3 in this country. 'Cause I know this one came out. That's how I played it. Because I played it on the key. I played it right on the cabinet. SNK arcade cabinet we had back in the Sol d'Italia. And people who lived in the area might remember that there was a chicken basket on the other side of the street. That was where you wanted to go if you wanted to play Killer Instinct. The arcade cabinet for Killer Instinct. Because for some reason, Sol d'Italia never got one of those, but Chicken Basket did. Though I want to say that they had a Samurai Showdown. I want to say they had a Samurai Showdown cabinet. That's how I played a tiny bit of it. But of course, I got my butt kicked. Because that game is not easy. Playing a 4-button fighter, I think it's 4 buttons or 6 buttons. I think it has 6 buttons. And trying to play that game with 4 buttons took a lot of effort. I eventually picked up a couple of tips when I played the Super NES version, so it made it less annoying. But Samurai Showdown's brutal if you don't have at least $5 to spend just to practice it. It takes $5 just to practice with that game. Of course, the other problem was I wasted too much time trying to practice, Nakaruru. Because I read in GamePro she had a really strong attack when she lost her sword, but of course I can never get rid of her knife. I can never get rid of her knife, so I can never use that really strong melee, that very strong bare-handed melee attack she had. We'll talk about that later when I get to Samurai Showdown videos. I'm gonna die. Fine. See, it's stuff like this where it's like in Final Fight, I'm like, there's a chance I'll survive. But in this, it's like, okay, as soon as I get hit, I'm just gonna die because there's no way I can beat this guy. Because I can't quite figure out how to make the combat. How to reliably beat guys like this without switching characters. He's just relentless. It drives me nuts. At 2. Okay. Wolf style. See? Okay, no fair blocking. There we go. Yep. Look at that. Blue waves. And he's blocking them. Not anymore. So I eventually broke through, huh? Whoops, and they killed me. Because again, it's very hard to survive with these enemies. Just, I guess, have weird attacks, and it's hard to figure out where the collision points are in the sprites sometimes. They'll cut through you before you can figure out what they are. It's kind of annoying. This game just seems cheaper than most brawlers I've played because of how the sprites work and again the depth that this game has is based largely on your ability to change, but you don't have time to change most of the time. Like I'm doing it now because no one showed up yet, so that's probably the deal. And now that the clock's still ticking while that text screen was appearing. So basically, during the whole text reading sequence, the clock was ticking down for this Kabuki guy. Well, I cut through her. Uh-oh. I was all confident. Was that a block? He ran me over. Yeah, really janky here. I'm trying to... Again, I'm hoping I'm connecting on my punches here. And then when he charges up that fire attack, I have to get out the way. Yeah, well. See? Decent enemy design in this game. I kind of dig it. Again, not a lot of animation in this game. So I guess this game was like a 50... Was this game like a 48 megabit arcade ROM? I forget how expensive it was. I forget how large it was. But yeah, I want to say the Super NES game was 8 megabits. They probably did a lot of compression to make that work. That's pretty much what Final Fight was. Final Fight was an 8 megabit game on launch. So when they converted it to the Super NES, they probably cut back on the animation even more. So I'm curious how it turned out. They probably just reduced the sprite size too. I'm not gonna keep playing this game because I got all the forums, but I just can't figure. Listen, guys, this is the Warlord's order. Hey, guys, we're under war, so I'm gonna end this video pretty soon. But yeah, I might finish it, but this is a chore. I'm just burning through a bunch of quarters just so I can beat it. Even then, I mean, maybe it's a 2-player game. It's sort of interesting. Maybe. Whoops. Because the pace is so sluggish and the AI is kind of rough, and the AI just seems kind of unforgiving and cheap. Okay, I broke this guy's swords, and they brought back more swords. So again, stuff like that happens, and I think, okay, this game has potential because, you know, they're trying to add a bit of depth based on the weapons you're using and the character that's wielding the orbs. So maybe there's probably a bit of depth there, and you can switch between characters at will. But because the game doesn't give you a chance to actually switch, it doesn't pause. So basically, it's like switching characters is a gamble because there's always the possibility you'll be attacked during the switching. If you try to do it after a mob is defeated, if you spend too much time trying to select your character, you eventually get rolled over. You eventually get rolled by those barrels, so it's really annoying. See, right there. See, I just got sucker punched right in the face because I'm trying to switch to somebody else. That kind of stuff. And then when you die and you come back, you're Japanese Michael Jackson again, which is great. But I mean, then you have to switch back as soon as you die. Every time you die, you want to switch to somebody else. You have to take that chance of switching characters while you're still invincible. While you're respawning from death, you're invincible for a few seconds. I'm going to switch. See, I got attacked there because I didn't know when these guys were going to show up. I didn't know who I was going to fight. But now I know who I'm going to fight, but then the other problem is that I don't have time to react once I figure out who I'm fighting sometimes. And I died. Let's see if I can break their swords. I want to kind of get them all lined up. See, I got them. I was able to grab his swords. So it looks like Michael Jackson here can break their swords. And then once they're broken, you can kind of get a couple of quick shots on them because he has to throw them away. Again, a bit of depth here, but it just seems kind of lame. Okay, we're going to set up... we got a checkpoint already, so we're going to leave. I can't really say much about this game, frankly. It's just not that great. Yeah, I didn't get any more goals either. So that's disappointing.